Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott, returning you to Welcome to Scratch Programming. In our last lesson, we built most of our project that we're working on right now, meaning we built most of our guessing game project. Remember, one clicked, so when we start the program, it comes up and it says, "Welcome, the computer generates a random number between 1 and 100. You attempt to guess it." So that comes as a little speech bubble out of the cat's mouth here and stays for 5 seconds. We then initialize our 4 program variables. The number of guesses that we've made in the current game, we initialize that to 0. The current guess, which is the guess that we're just about to make, we're initializing that to 0. Play again, which is a Boolean or a true-false variable, we're setting it to true because we do want to play again at the beginning. And random number, which we're setting to a random number between 1 and 100. Then we say repeat until play again equal false. Well, we set play again equal to true here, so it's not false, meaning we're going to keep going through, or we'll go through this at least once. How's that? So we're told please enter a guess between 1 and 100 below, so that'll appear down here. We put in our guess. All right, that guess in that little box goes into a variable called answer. So we set the current guess equal to answer. If the guess was out of range, meaning it's either something less than 1 or something greater than 100, we have a little bubble that comes up again out of the cat's mouth, and it says out of range, guess must be between 1 and 100. Stays for 5 seconds. If we get down to the else part of our big if else here, it means we've got a valid guess. Not necessarily a correct guess, but we have a valid guess. So we increment our number of guesses by 1, and then we start to make checks. If the current guess is less than the random number, so let's say the random number was 50 and we guessed 40, then we're going to say guess too low, please try again. We'll keep that up for 5 seconds. Otherwise, we know it's one of two things. Either the guess is too high and we say please, guess too high, please try again, or we got it correct. Now we could just go and duplicate this and put it right there. It'd be just fine. And we could say you guessed the secret number. All right, leave that up for 5 seconds. Okay, so let's try that from where we are. Our message. Okay, so we'll say 50, always a good place to start. Too high, try again. Let's cut it in half. It's kind of the secret to playing this game and winning. 25, too high. Try 12, too low. Now we've made 3 guesses, and the number must be either 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, or 25. We've got it down in 2 guesses to one of 13 numbers. So I'm going to try 20. It's too high, so I know it's got to be between 13 and 20. Let's try 16. Okay, so it's got to be 14 or 15. Let's try the high one. So 15, and it's 14. This should be correct. You guessed the secret number. Now, that's the good news. We guessed the secret number. We let them know they guessed the secret number. We're not done yet, but one thing is, as far as what we're working on here, it would be kind of nice to let them know how many guesses they made. All right, so I want to say you guessed the secret number, but I don't want to do it like this. Okay, I'm going to grab all of this stuff, and I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to come in here under my operators. When you want to put stuff together, it's known as joining it together. Somewhere in here is my join. All right, so I want to say this. You guess the secret number in, okay, and I'm going to come into here, and guess what? I'm going to put another join in there. And in here, I'm going to put in my number of guesses. And in here, I'm going to put in a space and the word guesses. All right, now let's see what we've got and see if I put it in there correctly. Let's do a file, save now, and let's run the program again. Okay, welcome. All right, so again, 50, too high, 25, too high. Now that's two guesses. 13, it's too high. 6, it's too low, so it's got to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Let's cut it around in the middle and try 9. This will be like my 4th or 5th guess. Too low, so it's got to be 10 or 11. Let's try 10. Too low, so all right, it's 11. So you guessed the secret number in 7 guesses. So it figured out how many guesses it took me. Now, it's telling me to guess a number here, but notice if I come in here and I put in, what was it, 11? It says I guessed it in 8 guesses, so it's not starting over again. All right, so I'm not done. But what I have done is I have now correctly handled the guess being too low. I should say from the start, the guess being out of range, the guess being too low, the guess being too high, or the correct guess. And again, you'll note that I put my correct one at the bottom. All right, because the chances, as I play the game more, the chances are better that I'm going to guess the correct number. But until I do, my guesses will be either too low or too high. All right, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do an ask. All right, I'm going to ask the user. Yeah, it's blue. I'm going to ask the user if they want to play the game again. Would you like to play again? In fact, let's let them know. How about this? We'll say, answer yes or no, please. Okay, and that's going to be the answer. All right, so we want to come down to our variables. Remember, we've got a variable that's called play again. So we want to set play again to whatever that answer was. And that answer is in our blues, and it's right there. All right. Now, if they answered yes, we want to play it again. Otherwise, we don't. Okay, there's a lot of ways we could handle this, but I'm just going to handle it in what I consider to be maybe one of the more straightforward ways. And I want an operator here. I want a control. It's going to be an if-then, or I should say an if-then else. So, if, well, we want to check and see if the answer was equal to yes. There's our equality. And what do we want to check? We want to check to see if play again, not answer. If play again, let's try it again. If play again is equal to yes, well, we want to do a bunch of stuff. All that junk we did up here, we want to do that again. These 5 lines. I'm going to try this. I'm going to cut that away. I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it. Good deal. And I'm going to bring that down here. Now I'm going to bring that back up here. And, oh, I don't know where that went. So I'm going to move that way the hay down here. There we go. And now I should be able to hook that in, and hopefully I can still, there we go. So, if play again was equal to yes, we want to play it again. All right. Otherwise, all we want to do is we want to set play again equal to false. That's our condition to get out. Now, this isn't well written, so I'm going to fix it in just a minute, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, so let's run the game. In fact, let's run it nice and big here. Okay. Welcome, the computer generates a random number between 1 and 100. You attempt to guess it. Please enter a guess. How about 55? It's too low. 70, whoops, not 671, 77. That's too high, so it's got to be between those. I made 2 guesses so far. 66. It's too high, so it's between 56 and 65. Let's try 60. I guessed it in 4 guesses. Now it should come back. Would you like to play the game again? Answer yes or no, please. If I say yes, it welcomes me. Let's play one more game. 50. Too low. Oops. 75. That's too low. So I know it's got to be between 76 and 100. Try 88. That's too low, so it's between 89 and 100. 95. That's too low, so it's 96, 97, 98, 99, or 100. Let's try 98. It's too high, it's 97 or it's 96. Too low, so it's 97, and it took me about 6 guesses. Something like that. Oh, I guess it was 97. Sorry. You guessed it in 8 guesses. It'll now come back and ask me, and actually, if I put in anything other than yes, it should end. So I'll just say no. And I'm done. All right, we got a couple things, couple of tweaks, couple of ways we can make this program better. We're gonna do that in just a second. All right. Now, one thing, and I always forget what this is. Somewhere in here, I really don't need those up in there anymore. So where it's got the answer, I'm going to remove that. And my number of guesses, which I think I also had checked someplace. Try to remove that as well. So let's see. There is something in here somewhere, I don't remember where it is, that's called, yeah, there it is, stop the script. So I would think if I set play again equal to false, repeat until, okay. So once I get out of here, and once I'm out of the repeat until, which is way the hay down here, I should be able to tell it to stop the script. All right, so let's try that now. Again, File, Save Now. We'll run it again. We'll get the program to run, and we will, after we will say we don't want it to play anymore, and we'll see if the program stops. Well, it was 97 last time, but I thought I'd restarted it, so still too, oh, it's too high. All right, so I guessed it in 5 guesses. It was 95. Now, do I want to play it again? Would you like to play the game again? I'm just going to say no. And it has stopped the script. Okay? All right. So, literally the game is complete. It could run, not so much run a lot better, but you notice I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines right here. And I'm doing the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines right there. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, except what I've got is what's referred to typically as code bloat. And in other words, what I'm telling you is I'm repeating code where technically it isn't really necessary for me to do that. All right? So how do I fix that? Well, we've looked a little bit at motion, move things around. We've looked at looks for the say and for other things. We have not looked at sound yet. We will soon. We've looked at events. We've looked at control. We've looked at sensing. We've looked at operators. We finally made our own variables. But what we haven't looked at yet is my blocks. So I'm going to click my blocks. I'm going to click make a block, and I'm going to call this initialize variables. Okay, and call it whatever I want, but that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to click OK, and there it is. Now it's telling me to define initialize variables. The good news is I've already done that. All right, what do I mean? Well, I'm going to grab these lines of code that are right here, and I'm going to put them, well, for now I guess I'm just going to put them off to the side. Let's move it up, and let's put all those 5 lines of code right under initialize variables. All right, so now I can replace what was in there with initialize variables. And the good news is I've got that in there twice. So let me move this down, and let me take, well, I want that line, these lines that are right here, and I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to replace them with a call to initialize variables. All right, so now what I'm telling the system to do is when you start, call initialize variables, which will give me my welcome message, which will initialize my variables, and then it'll do the ask. Okay, so what I've done is I've replaced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls in my main programming part right here with a call to the new block that I created. Now, this was nothing fantastic, but what I wanted you to get out of this was what it did do was it took our code, cut down the number of lines that we had. It didn't run any faster, but it's really, for lack of better words, it's now a better program. Now, I could keep going in here. For instance, I could change this one right here, this if statement with all this other stuff. I can make as many of these blocks as I want to make or I want to have. All right, so a lot of times what you'll want to do is if you look here, for example, this might be a nice place to replace that. You guess the secret number, etc. So we could call this correct guess and put that in there. We could, if we wanted to, call this too high and put it and make a call there, too low. The thing is, what you have to sort of watch out for is if I take this and put it in its own routine with one line, I'm replacing basically one line with one line. It's not exactly buying me a whole heck of a lot. All right. So as far as that goes, that's pretty much it for the program here. All right. I've got a phone call, so I've got to stop for a second. All right. Sorry, it was actually my doorbell that was ringing. So we are done with this, but there's a couple things I wanted to say to you first. All right. So the first one is I'm going to take this program right here, and I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to do a save. Save now. Okay. And I'm going to click the share button. All right. So now look what it has. It has my guessing game, and it says tell people how to use your project. So I'm going to put this is a simple guessing game. The computer generates a random number between 1 and 100, and the user attempts to guess said number. The program keeps track of the total number of guesses. It lets the user know their guess status, too low, too high, or correct in n number of guesses, and allows them to play the game as many times as desired. All right. How did you make this project? Ideas, etc. Well, this project is part of the Rankin Technical College 2020 Summer Adventure Academy. And I can even put a little thanks in here, ... Thanks to the students in the class. Okay, that's fine. Comments? No. So I can add this to Studio. All right. And close. Now, it says congratulations on sharing your project. Other people can now try it out, give comments on it, and remix. So, what I'm going to do is I am not in Scratch right now, okay? But I'm going to the URL it gave me, scratch.mit.edu/projects/ and then a number. So I hit enter. You can now do this, and I will give you that number. And you'll notice there's my comments, there's the notes, and if you were to decide you wanted to, it's going to look a little different for you because I am the user, I'm the one who created it. But you're going to have a button up here, you should, that says remix, where if you want to do that, you can copy this. So if you fall behind during the lecture, or if you're bored and you just want the final product or whatever, you're able to do that. All right. So that was the idea quickly was to show you how to use that. Now, a couple of other things. And again, much of the stuff that's in here you have already seen. So I'm going to go back to, let's just go back to my stuff. That's fine. So I now have my guessing game final, rainbow art, and color bound. So I've got copies of everything. Okay, so this should conclude what we're working on for day one. Now, if you want to practice stuff, I would say probably one of the neatest things for you to do would be to go out and go to the website and, for instance, create somewhere over the April the Adopt Me Beast. So if I click on this, there it is. It's going to load it right in. It'll take a second. Again, it says loading sounds, etc. We're going to talk about sounds. Don't worry about it. So there it is. So I can click here. There it is. So OMG, I've actually got my fave, etc. That's the person who wrote it. Okay, that's
somewhere over the rainbow.
So if I want to copy that, I would click the remix. I don't want a copy of that, so I'm not going to. All right, but you get the idea. That's a great place to start. If you don't want to do that, notice, learn how to make a project in Scratch. So it'll show you.
With Scratch, you can make your own stories, games, and animations. Let's start by grabbing a move block.
All right, and I'm just going to stop it right there. Okay, and if that doesn't tickle your fancy, so to speak, all right, there are beginning projects. You can go out and talk to other people. All right, you might want to get a little more experience before you do that, but again, that's totally up to you. All right, notice one button games. There's a bunch of stuff out here. All right, so remember, clicking here always gets you back to the website itself. All right, there's Explore that's right here. That's got even more projects, etc. in there. And there are some really, really professional looking games in here. All right. You'd have to look, but I know there's things like Pac-Man and there's other things like that in here, if that tickles your fancy. All right. Notice there's animations, there's art, there are games, there is music, stories. You can make your own interactive story. There are tutorials that are out here. You're still looking for ideas. You can go to the Ideas tab. Again, there's Getting Started. There's ways to do a lot of different things. All right. Finally, there's an About right here, which will tell you about Scratch and about the website. All right. So tomorrow when we come in, we're going to see how this is going to work. But the plan right now is for us to create a maze game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you copies of several mazes, and then I'll show you how to bring those in to your project, and we will work from there. All right. Till then, have a good day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.